Since America relayed its first satellite communication in 1958 in the form of a Christmas greeting from President Eisenhower, there have been many firsts in the world of communication satellites.
Through this unique means, I convey to you and to all mankind America's wish for peace on earth and goodwill toward men everywhere.
Where military necessity gets the lion's share of the credit for much of the advancements in satellite technology, we can't ignore how the basic human need to communicate for business and education has also helped shape the landscape for how the average person experiences the benefits of the modern-day satellite. It's easy to see the immediate effect of this technology today from just turning on your television, which is likely a signal that's bounced back from space. However, in the spring of 1974, we were just beginning to cast the vision by launching ATS-6, NASA's Applications Technology satellite, into a geosynchronous orbit 22,300 miles above Earth using the Air Force Titan IIIC, built just outside of Denver at a Martin Marietta plant. At the time, the antenna reflector was the largest ever developed, with a 30-foot diameter that could be focused over a 500 by 300-mile area, allowing for some schools to get simultaneous broadcast from a source in Denver. Schools fitted with a two-way broadcasting set could even return their questions via the ATS-3 satellite. People needed to understand this new form of education. In steps Mr. Tom Godwin on behalf of Martin Marietta, who brings this new technology to the average person by traveling schoolhouse. Mr. Godwin built the schoolhouse complete with television windows and a schoolhouse bell. The entire schoolhouse was loaded on the back of a trailer with a satellite dish in order to bring this new technology directly to its audience of 7th and 8th graders. What would turn out to be a huge step in education also turned out to be a great leap forward in business. Only a couple of years later, Tom Godwin hosts the first ever satellite conference at Martin Marietta. Not only did this conference, coined Project Encounter, demonstrate the viability of using satellite for everyday business, but it also turned out to be a very productive work session, the conclusion of which proved that satellite was not only an efficient means of communication for such purposes, but also a cost-effective one, as you could weigh all the costs of traveling for over 20 participants. In rushes a new era of communication as rooms were being fitted and designed around this type of exchange all over the country. The broadcast you're about to see is part of the original CDR hosted by Mr. Tom Godwin.
Space science has ushered in new levels of applied technology: manned spaceflight, deep space probes, and satellite communications, to name but a few. The Martin Marietta Aerospace Division has had an active part in this growing science. Tonight you have been invited to participate in the application of a satellite for communication. We are using CTS, Communications Technology Satellite, for a live video conference between Denver, Colorado, and Vandenberg Air Base in California. You are about to experience satellite usage as a new mode of business communication. Live, via CTS satellite, from the Martin Marietta plant located in Waterton, Colorado, is your host for the evening, Mr. Tom Godwin.
Good evening. Working with me tonight at Vandenberg Air Force Base is George Hewitt.
Good evening, Tom. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen in Denver from Vandenberg Air Force Base.
Out at Vandenberg, outside of Building 8401, they have located outside there the PET, Portable Earth Terminal. We also have a similar unit here outside of the engineering building here in Denver. This one that's located here in Denver was provided by the Public Service Satellite Consortium. I'd like to take this time to thank the Public Satellite Consortium for providing the arrangements tonight. They made the arrangements with CTS for this presentation tonight. Also, NASA has been very forward in developing the technology that we have available today. The satellite that we're using tonight is a joint effort between NASA and Canada. Next view graph, please. Incidentally, I'd like to thank Mr. Carnahan, our Vice President of Space Launch Systems, for allowing us to conduct this meeting tonight via satellite. Tonight's meeting is divided into 3 segments. The first, a critical design review of the boom retract support mechanism at Vandenberg Air Force Base. Second, a high-speed data link between Denver and Vandenberg. And of course, the third item will be a discussion of the launch vehicle propellant load verification tool. Now, I'd like to take a minute here to explain the time breakdown tonight. We have allocated 1 hour for the CDR. However, if it takes more time, we have that time. The point I want to make is we cannot compromise a CDR. This is a CDR, so we want you to open up with questions right away, but after I sit down, okay? All meeting material tonight is unclassified. The first segment, the boom retract support mechanism CDR. I would like to introduce the Denver panel. The Denver panel, Sid Talbert, the chairman. He is the Titan Engineering Deputy. John McCorkle, Director of Systems Engineering. Jerry Ballantyne, Manager, Structures and Mechanisms. George, would you please introduce the panel at Vandenberg, please?
Vandenberg's first panel member and co-chairman of the CDR is Captain Matt Gwynn of LVTO SAMSO in Los Angeles. From the Vandenberg 6595th Aerospace Test Group, Captain Ken Barker. From the Aerospace Corporation, Carl Frazier. Also from the Aerospace Corporation, Don Franz. From the Lockheed Missiles and Space Company at Vandenberg, Jim McDonald. From Martin Marietta's Systems Engineering at Vandenberg, Ron McGregor. That completes the Vandenberg panel introductions, Tom. We're ready to start the CDR.
Thank you, George. The purpose of the review is, first of all, to present the design to SAMSO, and secondly, to receive their approval of the design so that we might release the engineer, do the fabrication, and install the design.
We have an almost direct path from Denver to Vandenberg. And instead of being limited to 4,800 or even 9,600 bits per second, we could have bit rates up to 50,000 bits per second. That rate being limited by the computers and the peripherals associated with the computers at both Denver and Vandenberg.
We are very interested in asking some questions about satellite transmission. And Tom, I'd like to ask you a few questions, if I may.
Okay, I'll see if I can answer.
Okay, we are facing a logistics problem in our transmission with operator interface, the driving, etc. How do you feel you could speed up our transmission process?
Well, with satellite, and I like to make things simple so that I can relate to them, but think of the satellite as nothing more than a reflector. And whatever your equipment can do on the ground, the satellite will respond. So if you have equipment on the ground that can send at the rate of megabits, 2 and 5 megabits, the satellite will respond. So it's whatever your equipment on the ground can do. Again, encourage each of you to fill out the questionnaire before leaving tonight. This data is very important to us in evaluating this demonstration tonight. George, say good night.
Good night.